I was like, hey, Donna, you looking for a reason? You looking for a reason to get rid of me, man? Because just tell me. We hung up, and I was talking to my friend. He goes, but is he wrong? No, he's not. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
And it hit me. I was like, yeah, you're right, man.
Leadership isn't failing because people don't care. It feels harder than it should because too many leaders were never shown how to carry it. This is the Leadership Lunch Hour. I'm Don Healy, joined by my good friend Adam Cumpiano. We've led teams in environments where the pressure is real, mistakes are costly, and decisions have consequences. These are unscripted conversations about what leadership actually looks like when you're responsible for people, outcomes, and hard decisions. Episode 2 of the Leadership Lunch Hour. So just diving right into to this. Today we're going to be talking about tough conversations, and that's one of the keys of leadership is being able to have conversations, having been through some hard conversations. There's a story that Adam and I are going to unpack, and he and I've had a couple of tough ones, and maybe justified, maybe not fully justified. There was some heat and some emotions in there, but I think this is going to be good to talk through a couple of these scenarios, and maybe at the end of this we'll come to a place where we're maybe on the same page. But at the end of the day, tough conversations have got to be had, and sometimes they're emotional, tough conversations. As leaders, we like them to be grounded, but there's sometimes that your gut just says that you've got to have this conversation now, and it's more important, at least in my opinion, to use your gut. You don't necessarily want your emotions to get away from you all the time, like we've talked about in the past. But using your gut, and usually your gut is right in when you need to have those conversations, and that's what you need to trust. Okay, well, let's dive into this story, and I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
So
several years in the making. Let's do it.
And to keep you all listening, at the end of this, we're going to talk about something that Adam did that I've never seen in my whole career, and the way that he wrapped up this evolution in our relationship was a lesson learned for me. I mean, it was astounding in what he did and how he executed, and I think it's a lesson to be learned for everybody. So I'm looking forward to touching on that. So yeah, to kick this story off, I mean, we were in a pretty intense time, a lot of work going on. Yeah. And, to frame it, Adam, you were probably 8, 9, 10 months, close to a year, in the saddle of running.
I think I was a year.
On our team.
I think I was on my second
right
year because we had finished a really big, nasty project that was outside of our wheelhouse. I'm not going to name names or locations or places, but when we started that, I didn't think I was going to last very much longer. And I think that was in my first year that project kicked off. And then during this time is when I got stretched, right? I got my geographical location stretched by you, which was perfect timing. Yeah. And diverse builds, right? From customs all the way down to our classic homes, right? And I'll leave it there. It was probably my second year. And I would always say, now that I know what I know, I always watch the second and third year people and the fifth and sixth year people. Yeah. Because that's when you know enough to get in trouble. And you always said it. Like you said, hey, there's going to be a time that you're going to feel like you know enough. Yeah. And you rob Peter to pay Paul, to pay Sam, and cutting some corners, not laziness or anything like that, but just sheer, think that you can handle it. And that's when you get hit in the face with reality. So, So starting into this story, Adam had been on vacation. I'd been covering some stuff for him. And, when you're covering a guy's work, you try to be objective, right? Especially a guy that's, second year with a lot of work going on. And we were coming to the end of his vacation. He was back from vacation, and there was a lot of things that were adding up to me, and missed little things, a lot of little things. And I was headed to meet up with him at a job, and I'd gotten a call or a text from a subcontractor about some stuff, and it was like, hey, you need to check this out. So it was pretty pointed, right? And I show up at the house to check some stuff out on the direction of this contractor, and I walk up to the house, and first thing, the trash dumpster's overflowing.
And then I walk into the garage, and the garage is full of trash. It hadn't been scrapped out. Walked in the house. QC was rough at best, things undone. And it was in my gut, and we talk about the gut a lot. My gut said this is not right. You know, it was that vibe. It was oozing of that vibe of things aren't right. And
can we touch on the vibe real quick?
Yeah.
Like, you taught me this, like, the vibe is everything. When you walk into a home, that vibe, even before you walk in the door, you know, like, there's a vibe. So anybody out there listening doesn't know our world, you probably can resonate, though, with the vibe. When you walk into a room or a space or something, and you just feel it. It's almost empath-like. So anyway, I wanted to stop you there just to kind of touch on the vibe. Like, it's so important as leaders to catch the vibe sometimes, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this job site was oozing of the vibe of somebody struggling, you know. And my thought was, this isn't Adam. This isn't the Adam that I know. And I knew that Adam was slipping off of the rails, but I was going off of gut and emotion, right? When I pulled up to the house. Now, you know, years now after reflecting on this, I'm able to put the pieces together of, like, that was that feeling that I walked in. You know, that the feeling in the moment was, this isn't right. Things are sideways.
Yeah.
And so,
but it wasn't like a dumpster fire. It was just
it was just not
my
right.
standard.
Right. Not the way you would normally read things. Right. And so out of my frustration, I started scrapping the garage out. Right. I started humping it and throwing trash in the garbage can. And I worked up a pretty good lather by the time you pulled up.
Yeah.
And
I could tell the vibe. It was brutal. Yeah. Nothing worse than when you show up and your boss is sweating and he's giving you the look from 50 yards away in your truck, and you're like, oh no. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I, you know, you walked up, I mean, it was probably small talk, but I cracked you right out of the gates, and I recognized that. And that was, you know, in all of this, that was the wrong move. Like, the hard conversation needed to be had. The way I led myself and us to that hard conversation was not the right way to go about it. And, you know, knowing you, I know that you fight fire with fire, right?
Oh yeah.
Knowing me, when I get hot, I can't think. Like, my rationality goes out the window, right?
Yeah.
And I can count, you know, in my 20 years career in construction, I can count on one hand the hot conversations I've had. And that's with subcontractors, that's with anybody. So I don't have those blow up conversations.
And I'm one of them.
And
that's awesome.
It went freaking hot. It went hot fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it went round and round and round.
Well, I wouldn't say it was like face to face blows hot or close to it, but yes, it was.
Yeah.
You are a very even keel human being. You're one of the weird ones that have emotions, that show good emotions, but you're even keel almost at all times. So we'll put people who we are. I'm a firecracker. I'm an emotional. It's on my sleeve. You could tell right away what mood I'm in. I always try to be positive, but and I'm a firecracker about it. So I blow up, and then I'm over it. I'm done. And so to get you hot was festering over time, and I would say my piece after yours, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, and I mean, it was probably the most intense conversation I've had in the last 10 years. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that we, after it, like, we came together, and it was understanding and hugs and that, but, like, I think we still left that room,
unresolved.
You thinking that I came at it from a different angle, and me not being able to explain that gut feeling that I was that I had, and that's, you know, essentially what led to the next conversation that we had.
Right. So let's unpack my perception.
Yeah.
Because there's two perspectives, right? And I always tell people, you're my children, perception is a reality. So whatever your perception is, that's your reality. So it's really an emotional intelligence. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and see it from their perspective. and look at their perception. That's two different things, and it's very hard to do. Over time, I really value my hard work of putting myself into other perceptions and looking at it from different perspectives. But, hard, about a year into it, I'm in my second year, we had a major, major project that was out of the ordinary, out of the norm. What a stressful time. And then my geographical location spread.
Yep.
And I was taking a breath. I usually in our career, you get to a point, like we had mentioned in the beginning, that you get like, I don't want to say complacent because you're not like lazy. You're just like, oh, I failed that. Oh, I'll pass it next time. What's the correction? Instead of going and checking or calling or whatever it may be. And then other things like trash cleanup and stuff. I had went on vacation and needed a breath. And then right when I get back, so my perception is right when I get back, I'm getting slammed in the face with something when I was actually mad at the people covering me too. When I showed up back from vacation, nothing was handled in the way I thought it should be. A, I didn't set that expectation with anybody. And B, like prior to that, one of the main reasons for the the disagreement and the hard conversation was I got failed multiple times by a trade. And to me, it was done. I do have an assertiveness. I have that switch. I'm done talking about it. Like, here we go. And I don't think you and I had really gotten time to get together and really talk about the trials and tribulations with that trade, like list them all out to you so you understood the context behind all that. And so when I walked in the garage, it was days of, built up that you were ready to go. And I, with days of built up of coming back from vacation and then being failed by a trade partner or two, and then feeling like it's getting blamed on me, perception wise. That's the context of my side of what I was walking to. So
a big piece of my perception in that was it scares me when I see a superintendent project manager getting off the edge. And I've honed my perception of that now, but then it was the panic. It was the, oh shit, Adam's slipping, and you don't have to slip very far off the edge before you don't come back. And not on me saying goodbye, on on burning yourself to the ground, burning yourself to the ground. And it starts with those little things, the missed schedules, the missed inspections, because running at the pace that you guys run, as soon as you start missing those things, they compound. And then they compound and they grow friends. And then you've got exponential problems on your plate. And then you're working till 10 o'clock at night. And then you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you're tired and you're making more mistakes. And it's just a spiral that goes all the way to the bottom.
Well, and you're also managing X amount of homeowners, customers, whatever it is.
Oh, it doesn't stop.
And it doesn't stop.
Yeah. The inflow does not stop.
And to put into context for the listeners, the viewers, is when you're, in this business and like other businesses, when you're a year or two in, now the naive is starting to wear off, where you kind of faked it to make it the first year and you somehow shot from the hip and made 3-pointers and you're like, woohoo, I got this, because you didn't know the impacts. When you get comfortable is when that's where it's dangerous. And that's where most guys, I would say year 2, year 3 is where most guys just lose it. And go ahead for sure.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's the danger zone. So you were in the crossroads of the danger zone, right?
Yeah.
And irregardless of what the fuse was to lighting the dynamite off, we were like that conversation was due. And so I've got a question, and we've never talked about this. Would it have taken longer? I mean, this was an eye opener, right? Like this was a bam moment, right?
Yeah.
And had I had a nicer conversation, even though we didn't get that first one resolved, if it had been a nice little like sit down on the hood of the truck and be like, Adam, this is where you need to do this, and this is, would it have gotten your attention, or would it have taken longer to get from point A to point B?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, like I told you, I'm always one for a kick in the rear.
Yeah.
I come from the era of, a good kick in the rear where if it's coming from a good place, I'm always receptive of. I do not want to let anybody down. And you already at that point have become a person to me that I never wanted to let down. And so, yeah, knowing me and who I am, I don't lose. There's no losing. I don't quit. There's no quitting either.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I think it would have took longer, and I think you probably would have got rid of me because I don't know how fast that ship would have turned if I didn't think it was that wrong. When you look again at that time, when you look around, we were really setting cycle records, VPO records, like variance records. We were setting records. And when I looked around at my peers naively and very stupidly, that I felt like I was one of the best on the team. Like I had that ego, I had a little ego in front of my face. I put a little, and that's so we're human, right? I always preach, put your ego aside. And that's one of the reasons right there is that I think if we would have talked about it beforehand, like, hey, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get rattled up and don't get, worried or anything. You're not in trouble, but I really want to have a sit down conversation with you. I think that would have been probably a good route to go.
Yeah.
Because I am an emotional guy. So when I've never seen Don emotional before, and my whole life have met conflict with conflict, from my childhood. You had to. In my prior professions, you met conflict with conflict. And so I met conflict with conflict. And that moment and the next moment we're going to talk about were some of the biggest growth moment for me in my life. So we'll unpack that here in a second. But yes and no. I think you could probably talk about what you learned from that and how you would have done it differently.
Yeah.
But softly coming at it is not always the answer. Sometimes you gotta, what do I say? Coach in the moment. You gotta coach right then and there. Do not wait. Because if they don't know it's broken or somebody thinks what they're doing is okay, you can't hold them accountable. That's your fault. That is your fault for not holding your people to a standard and a clear vision, like we talked about. What's the vision? What's the mission? Here's the process. Here's the standard. Coach in the moment. If you don't do it, it's your fault. Sorry, I got a little passionate there, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
But what we're kind of unpacking in this lesson is how to have those conversations. What works for best for me or you? Not everybody's our way, though. Like, I'm emotional leader. I'm very emotional. You're very even keel. Some people are not that way.
Right.
Not everybody's like me where they're loud, obnoxious, rah-rah guy. And not everybody's like you where you're even keel. Some people are very reserved and quiet. So how do we have those difficult conversations? And we'll finish the story because the second story really ties in with it. And then we could talk about each other's growth on it because I think it's very important.
Yeah. Well, we absolutely agree in the fact that having the hard conversation is more important than how you have the hard conversation. And those two, yes, they can definitely influence the outcome of the hard conversation, but you got to have the balls to bring it up. You absolutely have to. And for me, it's less strategic and more gut. And I mean, that's something that I'm learning in my leadership path, right? Like applying my gut to the strategy, but like there's a gut feel of when something's not right. And again, for me, and maybe there's this opportunity to explain this to people earlier in the process, but I come from a default position of caring about my team. And so when my gut says something's wrong, it's not because I dislike somebody. It's because somebody I care about is not on the right path. is the default of where my gut reaction comes from. But, you know, again, you know, my guts never failed me. And in those times when there's a hard conversation that needs to be had, if you ignore your gut, you usually miss the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think you asked me the question: would I have responded better or differently, sitting on the hood of a truck, softly, you know, tippy-toeing around the red flags and the gut feeling that you had? We can't speak for everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody takes things differently. But for me, in that moment, I actually walked away from that moment unresolved at the time. Like we had split up. We had gotten hot. Like we weren't in each other's face. There was no like close to blows or anything.
No.
But we weren't hearing each other. You were saying one thing, I was rebutting with something else. We weren't even hearing each other. It was a pointless conversation at a time. And I really think, I really know for a fact, if most of the time that could have gone even further to where somebody just walks off and they quit.
Yeah.
Because of the leadership, lack of, or the other person, the leader, saying, hey, I can't work with you, and this is not going to work. And this is not what I want on my team. And by far, I was nowhere near walking off and quitting, like at all. And I know you well enough by then and trusted you. You created so much trust with me that I knew you weren't getting rid of me or it wasn't even that. Like,
no.
So you walked away and we went our separate ways in the, you know, in the house doing our job. And then we walked by each other and then like we just hugged each other. Like a bro hug, you know, not a full on like, you know, but it was a bro hug. And I said, you know, I think one of us, I love you, boss, or something like that. You're like, I love you too, man. And we got this, is what you said. And then we split our separate ways and we did what we had to do. And that was it. We didn't even fully resolve my perception of the whole conflict. And then the whole time I thought you were mad about this trade partner conversation I had, but really it was like a culmination of other things. So in my brain, I'm killing it. I don't see the red flags yet all the way. I do a little bit, but not. I think that's, again, that moment and the moment after that we're going to talk about was probably the biggest for me too. Because I didn't think it was that bad. I thought we were doing good. And in the grand scheme of things, when you're coming up on October, those places that you're in, that you're working on, you got a couple of months to finish.
Right.
And
we were in the home stretch.
All 6 of my projects working were right at that critical point of winter and needing immediate action to make sure that they're okay and they finish. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let's, so, you know, to recap, you know, we had this hot conversation in a garage in a house, and then still wasn't resolved. Like you know, and I think we both still weren't resolved because there's still some, those patterns. And I hadn't put the things into place to help you resolve those patterns. And, so then there ended up being another conversation, and Adam, I'll let you lead us into the next conversation we had.
Yeah, so at the time, again, you know, I still don't see all the red flags. I'm like, okay, you had a dirty garage, like, let's clean it up, we're good. I was more concerned on some major issues we had. We had to do some major demoing of a new project. I remember your words from day one. You never want to remodel a new home. Right. Like that's like stuck in my brain forever. Don't ever move a foundation that you already set, and don't remodel a new home.
Well, if you remember, we'll go back to the ceiling and you know, I you know, you can fix wood and sheetrock.
Yeah,
you know, you can fix wood and sheetrock. Just don't fuck up the foundation.
Yeah, don't fuck up the foundation. So that happened, and same trade. That on 4 other jobs, in my perspective, my perception, failed me miserably.
Yeah.
So in my heart, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. My houses were good, you know. But in hindsight, they weren't. And when you create trust and buy-in with your team, they're going to tell you the truth on everything. And so whenever you checked in with us, like, how's this house going? Are you a go, no go, where we're at? And I would say, man, I failed inspections again. I failed inspections again. I failed inspections again. And you're kind of like, did you call? Were you there? And, no, I had this going on or that going on, or I tried to be there, I missed them, or whatever excuses were, right? And there were several other houses that were right at the same point. There was about 4. And now we're getting into like cold weather.
Yeah.
We don't have power on most of them. Really wet, really, really cold. And so one day you called me. It was on a Friday. I was with a friend of mine, kind of helping him do some things around his area. And we were sitting in his driveway, and you had called me, and I answered, and you were really to the point. And we had a couple conversations before that, right after our argument that next week, where it was, we never even really talked about what happened in the garage. We never really closed it. Yeah. And then you're like, hey, man, like, I'm really worried about you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, well, your houses, they're not ready. They're not right. I'm like, Don, like, I'm busting my butt every day. I'm out here 12 hours a day. I'm working 6-7 days a week. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he was like, well, how many times are you going to fail that inspection? Well, I kept trying to make excuses in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Well, have you read the plans? What are on the plans? And, no, I haven't. You're right. Well, what about this house over here? You don't have heat, you don't have power. Like, I think there was like 3 other houses the same kind of way. Yeah. And I was like, hey, Don, are you looking for a reason? You looking for a reason to get rid of me, man? Because just tell me, if I'm not the guy, let me know. And you immediately switched your tone. You're like, no, Adam, no, please, by all means, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I've been there. Adam, I've been through this so many times. Like, I'm seeing this from afar, and I don't think you realize the danger ahead that you're walking into. Like, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it and help you. And I was pretty frustrated. Yeah. And I said, you said, hey, let's talk about this Monday, and we'll formulate a game plan or whatever, and we'll have a one-on-one time. Yeah. We hung up, and I was talking to my friend, dear friend of mine, really, really good guy. What a consistent human being this guy is. And I'm just kind of venting. Like, man, why is he up my ass all of a sudden? I've done this, and this. I finished this on time. Kick butt on this. I have the best admin scores in the company. I have this and that. And he goes, but is he wrong? That's the first thing out of his mouth. Is he wrong? What do you mean? Well, you have power? No. Do you have heat? No. How many failed inspections? 5. Is he wrong? No, he's not. He's not wrong. Yeah. And he hit me. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. So I finished up that conversation, and then I went home. And that Friday night, I didn't sleep much because I loved it. Loved this career. Loved working with you and the team. And it was something I've never really done before. And I was so bought in. I was so wanting this. And I sat there all day Saturday. You never expected that. Like, we work our time, we're done. This was on my own. Yeah. No, nobody ever expects us to do that. But I did. I cared that much. And I wrote out an action plan for every single home with dates. Yeah. A whole whip, work in progress, when it was going to happen, how I was going to do it, when I was going to be done. And I wrote them out on the calendar with events. So it wasn't like just written on paper. They were in my calendar as to be done by this date. Yeah. And then I sent you over that email, and take it from there.
Yeah. Well, we were going to have that conversation on Monday, right? And the hard thing as a leader, like we talk about the bad girlfriend conversations, right? Yeah. And the ones that get momentary change and it only lasts for so long, right? And you get jaded by the bad girlfriend conversations. Mm-hmm. And I expected to have one of those bad girlfriend conversations that would amount to a few weeks of change, and then back to pushing the rock back up the hill, right?
Yeah.
And it was Sunday night. It was even before you sent me that list, that full comprehensive list of what status of every house and exactly what you were going to do to get every one of those houses back on track. And number one, I was astounded that you sent that without me asking. You'd taken it upon yourself, and you had the fortitude to do that and put that together. And that showed a lot. What's weird about that is like it showed me like what I expected of you. Like this was the Adam. This was the Adam that I knew and that I had hired showing back through, right? And so I there was that deep appreciation of you putting that effort into laying that plan out. And honestly, in my mind, it was going to be us working together to guide you down that path. Right.
Yeah.
And you dove in that Monday morning, and you, over the next 2-3 weeks, executed absolutely everything that you wrote in that action plan, without me asking, without me checking, without anything. And I've never well, number one, I've never had somebody bring their action plan to me without having to write it for them. And then I've never had somebody execute to every word with the level of dedication and care that you did to do everything that you had identified on that list to get everything back on track. And still, I mean, with all the people that I've worked with, all the pips and all of that I've done, I've never had a single person dig within themselves, have the personal fortitude and accountability to be able to create a legitimate action plan to move the ball forward and then go execute on it. And that told me everything about you. That absolutely told me everything. Like, you meant a lot to me, and we'd been through a lot. We'd been through a lot of fires, and you doing that showed me everything about you. And that's what makes you an awesome leader now.
Sorry.
No, man.
I never wanted to let you and the team down, and my homeowners. Like, you created, and we created together, such a strong team and bond. And that letting you guys down was, I would die first. Like, to this very day.
That's you through and through, man. You don't let people down.
We even to this day, we don't work together anymore, but I would never let you down. All the heart, the trust, the love, the tears you put in us will never be taken for granted. Like, even executing that early, right? We were able to finish those 6 homes well before Christmas and the holidays, which in our world, that's everything. You finish before then, you're golden.
Yeah.
We were able to go other places and help other teams. And I got selected to go do that. And what an honor that felt. Like, I felt like, wow, that's really cool. And that was a huge growth moment for me, because I think that's really when I learned to put my ego aside.
Yeah.
And really, like, why are you worried about the things that you've done great in the past? When are you going to grow and be better for the future?
Yeah.
And that's the self-reflection I had during that weekend. Like, why are you hung up on all the great things you did? How are you going to be better in the future? And I didn't want to let you down, dude. That that was the biggest growth moment, one of the biggest growth moment in my career. The other one was when, a leader of mine was like, when are you going to grow other people around you? When is it not about you and what you've done? What are you going to do for the people around you? And that was an awesome moment.
Yeah.
To this day, like, great moment.
Well, and this shows one of the things that's not talked about in leadership books at least not talked about well in leadership books, and that's the emotional connection
Yeah.
between people in a
Yeah.
team, and this is the family piece that tries to get fabricated by banners on the wall and slogans,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's something that's
Yeah.
earned
Yeah.
in a team, and amongst a team that's grown, that is family, that care,
Yeah.
that care that lasts for years afterwards, right? And
Yeah.
there is nothing wrong with that. Like, I think people put emotions aside because they think there's not a place for it in business. But how can you have leadership without real care, right? How can you have care without emotion?
Yeah.
I don't think it works. At
I
least
don't.
that math doesn't work in my mind.
I don't think it works either. But again, like, we're not talking of the level. Like, not everybody is going to be me or you or a few other people in my life that have that outward emotion, intelligence, or skill, right? So how do those people that are really reserved, quiet, calm, how do those people lead servant leadership style? And it's really simple. It's really simple. You do what you say you're going to do at all
Right.
times,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
don't have to shout that out.
Yeah.
If you do as a leader what you say you're going to do,
Yeah.
then you create buy-in and trust. Then
Yeah.
you have your cheerleaders, your
Yeah.
highlighters, your Mr. and Mrs. Consistency, and the metrics guy that
Yeah.
or gal that drives the metrics through everybody. So you don't have to be a you where you're like this weirdly savant, even kill, logical, emotional guy that's not super emotional, but you have an emotional side that you show.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're talking about it, people out there that don't feel like they can't do it with them, they don't, the emotions are not for them. Like my stepdad is one of them. Like that guy, there's zero emotion, but he had people like follow him. Like when I was show up on the
Yeah.
job site, they're like, "You're a Cumpiano? Like your dad's amazing. I'd follow him anywhere." I'm like, dude, my
Yeah.
dad doesn't even laugh. Like, what do you mean? Like, he's the hardest driver I've ever met in my entire life. But it was
Yeah.
because he did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he led the way.
Yeah.
And then he supported his team around him, not rah, rah,
Right.
high five, but like, giving them better tasks or more responsibilities.
Yeah.
And he was so good at it. I could tell at home when I was in his good graces, because he would give me more responsibilities.
Right.
No joke. Like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, I think people out there, if you're listening, if you're not an emotional leader, there is ways to create buy-in, trust, and have
Yeah.
that emotional connection. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, showing up, doing what you say you're going to do, and then showing up. And that showing up, that comes in a lot of different forms, right? That comes
Yeah.
with actively guiding your team, paving that road in front of your team. And good leadership is a constant balance of having your head up, looking over the horizon while your teams got their head down in the ground, and you're paving that road, and you're blocking and tackling those challenges in front of them. But then when they're stuck, when they've got a problem, you show up and have their back hard,
Yeah. And
hard,
you
all
did.
of it,
Yeah.
all of it. And that's way different than micromanaging and controlling. You see those moments when they really, really are struggling.
Yeah.
And you show up hard, and you're right there in the trenches with them, and you're dirty and you're tired, you're in the middle of the night, and you're getting those things done to get them back on track.
What would you, well, first I'll ask, did you grow from those two scenarios as a leader?
Oh, 100%.
And
Absolutely.
what's your
Absolutely.
takeaway?
100%. Number one, I never want to have that kind of a hot conversation where I get irrational. Like I made a decision in myself at that time. Like, I'll use other mechanisms. I'll use other paths.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had the conversation about getting your attention, but I 100% agree with you. other ways to get your attention, that would be more productive than me getting irrational where I can't think. 100%. And
Right.
I have not had a conversation like that since. And I've thought a lot about my gut. Like we talk about that. Like what was that? What was that in my gut, right? And I've thought about that over the last, what has it been, 8 years, right? Honing what that gut feeling is. And when you understand what that gut feeling is, and when it's coming on, you can be more rational about how you handle that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then Adam, the other piece that I don't have figured out is, how do we get people, train, treat, grow people to have the same kind of response of really like having the personal fortitude to dig in and figure out their own path forward, right? That level of ownership and accountability. And again, that's one of those leadership challenges that I think that'll be a challenge for humans forever, right?
Yeah.
That's part of that secret sauce.
But I
But
think
I've thought on that a lot. I don't have the answers.
yeah, and for me, like, there's a formula. It's not everyone that you're going to capture and have that or change that or move that in them, but a percentage, yes. You're always going to have the narcissist types or the cutthroat, no emotion. Those are the guys that, are probably, CEOs with billions of dollars, right? They have this goal and this mission and this drive to get there. And I'm not speaking about any of them or how they are, but I would imagine that to get where they're at, there's something else in the equation that gets thousands of workers to work there, right? Mm-hmm. Are they happiest? I don't know. Is there a voice of the employer that would tell you the truth or whatever poll? I would love to look at that. For me though, how do I stop turnover and attrition? And it's a formula that I talk about, and I mentioned it here probably a couple of times. Coach, train, develop, and inspire.
Right.
Right. So coach in the moment. Again, that's so important. Train the process together. Don't just hand somebody a book or a manual and like, all right, build it. Like, no, train the process.
Right.
Develop their strengths. Everybody wants to develop weaknesses and they forget about the strengths. If you develop the strengths, what make you who you are, that's you. That's what you're the greatest at. That's what God put into you as your talent. I can't sing. I could dance a little bit back in my day. I can't draw. I could barely write my name properly with being legible. But what God gave me was empathy and discernment and team building skills. So use the strengths that were given to you and grow them, because naturally your opportunities are going to show themselves, and the people that you put around you that make you better are going to help you with those opportunities.
Yeah.
And then inspire.
Yeah.
Inspire everybody around you. Be positive. Like, again, 17, 18 years ago, we lost everything. Everything. And I looked at my wife and she's pregnant with our fifth child, and our car was getting repoed at 3:00 in the morning. We're looking out the window. And I was like, why us? We work hard. We're good people. And she's like, Adam, we're negative. Every time something good happens, we look for the 3 negatives to hit right after. We got to change our mindset. So no joke, from that moment on, my wife and I are at checks and balances that, hey, you're being negative on that. There's a positive here.
Yeah.
And that very moment, literally our life has gone nothing but better. And never has stepped back from that very moment. And so I started just being positive and inspiring others to be the best they can be. I could read a person's face when they're walking in the store and I'm holding open the door. You could tell the vibe, right?
Yeah.
Hey, your hair looks great today. or I really love that outfit. You don't know if that made them smile. You don't know, but it could have. Could be a butterfly effect. And so whenever you encounter your team, you grow your team, you embrace your team, then you got to individually inspire each one to be the best they can be. You got to make them trust that their career is more important than your own.
Right.
You got to prove it, that your growth and your goals and your dreams are by far more important than mine, and you will retain a higher percentage of people who are bought in and accomplishing the goals and tasks.
Yeah. I guarantee that there's people that are going to listen to this podcast and say, I wish I had a leader like that. And I mean, really, that's what we're doing is we're trying to show that it's okay to lead that way.
Are we
break
perfect?
the stereotypes? No.
I just not too long ago had one of those garage moments, and wasn't at work or anything, but I call it the garage moment because we let our emotions get ahead of us. And I sat there afterwards reflecting on I should have been better.
Yeah.
We all let our emotions get ahead of us sometimes. I don't care who you are. We're human. We're human beings.
Yeah.
We were given emotions for a reason. But if you can really stop and breathe and think about the context, the perception, calm, cool, collected, big breath, replay the conversation in your brain before you have that conversation, or you hit send on that message, it's going to be so much better and impactful and received. In my opinion, in my personal opinion.
I mean, it's proven. You have to stop and think about what you've done, and you've got to have that introspect to review all of those conversations, every single one, and play it out in your head. Like that's how you get better.
And take ownership right away.
Take ownership.
Like we talked about in the last one. Like if you own it first as a leader, hey Joe, you know what? Maybe I wasn't very. I'm gonna say I wasn't very clear on my communication of that.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't ask you if you were totally clear and you understood the task.
Yeah.
That's my fault. That won't happen again. I apologize. But can you please talk me through your thought process on this? Or where are you feel like you're stumbling? So together we can accomplish this. And if you own it first, you own it, then you can have those direct conversations that need to be like corrected right away, those opportunities, and you can fix them together. And then there's trust, there's buy-in still, and then there's a clear vision, mission, and path to get it done. But if you attack or you with emotion angrily put somebody down or micromanage them or belittle them, fear, intimidation, and guilt, see how long that lasts. Tell me. If you're one of those people, tell me how well you're doing and what your turnover rate is. I would love to know and prove me wrong, because over my 47 years, that's not the way. So
Well, Adam, coming to the end of this, one thing that's very clear to me, and part of why I love having these conversations, is you do such a great job of putting words to the theory and the strategy. I'll be first to admit, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations, I can't put words to my leadership style, but you do a really good job of putting words to a style and a direction. And I really appreciate the conversations, and you've been able to, because you're giving me clarity on how I lead by framing it how you do, and that's super valuable to me, and I appreciate it. And we'll close this thing out, going back to that conversation that we had at the Country Gentleman or whatever it was, where you point blank asked me, you said, Don, what's the secret sauce? Right. And, I think through the course of these conversations, maybe we'll scratch into what that is, and you'll give me some understanding of what that secret sauce is. So maybe we can pass that on.
Again, every chef has their mom's recipe book or their grandma's recipe book, right? But every one of those recipes get a little different over time. There's a different ingredient or a different amount of ingredients. So for me, your secret sauce is yours. My secret sauce is mine. Because my ingredients are going to be a little different than yours. We're different people. We have different strengths. But the base, right? A good sauce, right? Starts with a good foundational base.
Right.
You know, and the second thing is you know, boil water. You know, don't sit there at the mid boiling point and then not kick it up one more degree to make that great pasta to go with that secret sauce. And that's your people. Fire them up, inspire them, and turn the degree up one more degree of effort on your people. You'll make some great pasta with that great sauce that you have. So we'll figure it out one day, buddy.
You know what? Even if we don't, actually, you know what? I don't want to have it all figured out. I want to keep learning, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Learning. Always. Yeah.
All right.
Much love, my friend.
Let's call that the end of this one, man. That was a great talk. I'm glad we unpacked those stories, man. And hopefully whoever's, you feel better?
Well, I just feel like we got some passion out.
Yeah.
You know, we got some passion, and we got to relive a very big moment for us both. And
agreed.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening to this. We went a little over an hour, but it was good stuff. So again, this is the Leadership Lunch Hour. If you like what we're doing, again, we don't know what the heck we're doing. Follow us, like us, subscribe us. I don't know where we're posting this, but we appreciate anybody who listens, comments, and follows along. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.